So it's a very warm welcome to the Global Sports Channel to Scott Darley today. Scott, how are you, mate?
Yeah, very good, very good.
Thanks,
In rainy
thanks for
England.
being with us. And I tell you what, when you do, I don't know, have you done many interviews in your life?
No, this is the first one.
First one, okay. Well, welcome to
Yeah.
your first one. I'll go gentle on you. And
Yeah,
look, normally what happens, the interviewer normally asks you, okay, whereabouts are you located, and how's the weather today, and all the rest of
yeah.
it. So I'm not going to do that with you, though. I'm going to say to you, where's your favourite destination in the world? Where do you like to
My
travel to
favourite
the most?
destination,
Yeah, favourite travel destination.
I would say Spain.
Spain. Anywhere in particular in Spain?
Yeah, on the coast at Morera,
Oh,
small
beautiful.
old fishing port called Morera in Spain. Yeah.
Very good spot. Do you get down there much?
Yes, well, I was over there for the last 4 years, and now I'm over in the UK at the moment, carrying out some work.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'll be going back shortly.
Fantastic. So you spend your time between the UK and Spain.
I do, yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
today we're going to have a chat about sport, and in particular, your role in the raising of your wonderful daughter. Her name's Cheri, and she's currently in the United States. And we'll get to that part of the journey, but I want to go back and talk right from the beginning, because what I'm hoping to achieve today is to have a chat to you about being a parent of a particular sports person and their dreams and goals in life as far as becoming a professional athlete. So your daughter, Cheri, how old is she now?
She's 17.
17. Okay. So
They're trying to catch me out there.
So when did it first become apparent that Cheri was interested in the sport of tennis and wanted to pursue that?
Well, but probably when she was about 6-year-old, 7-year-old.
Where did that come from? Was there tennis players in the family? Or?
I'd like to say yes, but no, definitely not. No, myself and my wife, we were going to a local gym, and in the gym, well, we went in the gym, we could put the kids in to play tennis, like a baby crash sort of thing. So
Right.
They went and played tennis, and we went in the gym, and it just went on from there and there and there, you know.
Was it?
And then slowly took over everyone's life.
we'll get into some of the details of that, though. But was it from the time way back then? Was it an instant connection for Cheri? Did she fall in love with the game straight away?
She did. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, straight away.
What was it about the game, do you think, that attracted her to it so much?
I think she liked the fact that it wasn't just the fact that she was playing on the court in singles. It was the fact that when she went, it was mixing with a group of people, meeting more friends, socialise, and then she joined the team, and then it just progressed like that, you know.
Mm. And as a parent,
she's a very social person.
As a parent, obviously supporting their child through that process, was there any desire for you at her young age to help her and push her along a bit more, or did you just let her find her own way in the beginning?
We just let her find her own way. We didn't try and push, certainly never try to push. It was just a case of that we could drop them off at the tennis, then we could go into the gym, you know, give us like an hour in the gym. And then it just went from there and there. Yeah. And then, you know, you start seeing them improving, and then you start getting in and saying about getting a lesson. So then you're in and they start getting another lesson. And then she joined the team, and it just went on from there, you know.
Yeah. So
I think it certainly is a little aspect of pushing in a certain way. Because once you start putting them into it, certainly at the young age, it's a bit like karate sort of thing, where you're getting your certain belts and you get your grades. And it was the same coming through the tennis ranks. So we had to be aware, or certainly your mum need to be aware of what tournaments you need to do to get those certain ratings to start moving forward. So there certainly was a bit of an aspect from pushing, because we had to direct in the right way that she needed to go, you know.
Yeah. Was there any moments in the early stages where she was kind of thinking twice about it and maybe wanting to go on to another sport?
No, I don't think so. To be fair, she was when she was younger, Cheri, she was she, as well as playing county tennis, she was like a county hockey player, county netball player. She was very person, you know. It was the tennis with and what she carried on with.
Yeah. Okay. Now she's got brothers and sisters.
Two sisters.
Okay. So how was so you were imagining a handful at the time, yeah? Having three young girls to
three young girls, yeah. Yeah, well, we've got an older one, 20, and Cheri's younger sister, Libby, she's 15. And Libby plays tennis as well. We'll start playing tennis at the same time.
Oh, right. So was there any, times where the family was getting around the television and looking at watching Wimbledon together and things like that? Was that an occurrence in the family?
Yeah, always. We always did that sort of thing anyway, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's always been in their dreams to get to that sort of standard, if that's achievable. You know,
Yeah.
they've always had that dream, the goal.
Do you remember Cheri having any role models or idols back in the day when she first started? Was there anybody in particular that she looked up to on the men's or the women's side of the game?
Certainly on the women's, it was Serena Williams, because she loved all of her outfits, you know, the dresses and stuff like that. So they were always wanting to wear their clothes, you know.
Right. Okay. So,
Yeah.
so let's talk about it from a parental point of view in terms of it's a pretty hard job being a parent to start off with, but when you start helping your kids go through a sporting career, what are some of the things that you look back on now that you might have thought you could do differently if you were to do it all over again? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Maybe. I mean, certainly from the parents' point of view, when they start playing the tennis and then they're playing tournaments on a weekend and then they're going somewhere on a weekend for the tournament, you're having to go away to take the child away, which means the other child, someone else, is getting left out a little bit. Then all of a sudden they're in a tournament every weekend. So I think certainly some people can miss out. You know, our older sister certainly missed out on a lot of things. Looking back, a lot of the tournaments we chased around, I don't think we need to chase around as much as we did, but I would have changed that. You know, we were trying to get the next level, and at the end of the day, looking back now, whether that was needed or not, I don't think so. But I'd certainly do that differently.
So was there much advice and support for you as a parent, like from either the tennis association or coaches? Were there people that you could go to find out that kind of information?
The coaches were certainly helpful. I don't think the kids got as much help from the tennis association as they could have or should have. I certainly don't think that. I think in different parts of the country or different tennis clubs may be more in contact with the tennis association, so they may get more help from the tennis associations. But certainly where Cheri was, I don't think they got as much help as she should have got. Certainly not.
Interesting. So in your eyes, it comes down to the actual geographical location where you happen to be living and all the rest of it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
interesting.
I do, yeah.
And
that's only my personal opinion, though, you know.
Yeah, sure, I understand that. So in terms of, chasing the dream, you talked about, going to tournaments and obviously looking for, pushing her into the next levels. Did that come quickly, or was it something that took quite a bit of time?
It certainly takes a bit of time. You know, they start coming through the ranks and they play local tournaments, and then they put the names down to go into a bigger tournament, and then they may get accepted into that tournament. So then you start getting to the next level, and you win a few matches in that sort of tournament. Then you might get into the next one. It goes on certainly over a few years. You know, it's not just straight up. Yeah. Over a few years, you start working your way up.
Yeah. And are you bumping into other parents that you see along the journey? The same parents that are turning up? We have
done. Yeah, we've had some arguments with some parents, and we're still friends with them parents on the sidelines over the years. I'll tell you that.
That's a really interesting point, though, because we laugh about it, but in all seriousness, there's a number of parents out there that are doing probably more harm to their child's sporting career. Is that something you saw as a minority thing, or do you think there's too many parents that are getting too serious about this stuff?
I think there's not a bigger percentage of people like that, but you certainly see it, and you can see some of the children upset on the court and looking at the parents, because the parents are shouting at the kids and stuff like that. I'm not saying I've ever done that. Maybe it's once or twice. It's what, but no, there's certainly some that take it really serious,
Yeah,
and you can see some parents arguing with other parents over the kids that are playing on the court. Crazy.
You haven't picked up a racket and taken out an umpire, have you, at any stage?
As soon as we're recording live, definitely not. No.
So once you
to be fair, that's a good point what you've just said there about an umpire.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing I think there should be in these tournaments through the children, because how much is at stake in the tournaments for these children to progress, to become noticed. There should actually be umpires on the courts. Now, there is no umpires on the courts when they're younger, and it's just the child's perception. If they think the ball was out, they call it out, and that's it. So that you can imagine some of the arguments that the parents are having, because there's like the child goes, "Oh, it was out," and the parents are like, "No, that was in," and they're shouting at the other person. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So what age does the umpiring come into state in the UK?
Certainly at national tournaments, there are umpires, which I saw when Cheri was like 10, 11-year-old. However, to get to those national tournaments, there is no umpires along the way. So if there's no umpires and you've got someone, I'm not saying all children are like that, but if you've got someone who's very careful with the line calls, these children can possibly progress through, and then they end up there. When the child that is maybe he's a better player and is a lot quieter, doesn't progress through because he, you know. So that's why I think they should have umpires, or certainly be funding for umpires at earlier stages and low competitions to make sure the correct children get through to the level they should be getting through to.
Yeah, very good point. Don't worry, I'm making sure I send a copy of this video to the LTA and
good. Can you please black out my face and don't tell them my name?
So, but that's a really good point, and you know, that's one of the little nuances that I was hoping to get out of our chat today. So, is there anything else along those lines that you think could be improved for the younger player that's kind of starting off?
The other thing, since the children have went over to Spain, okay, I mean, whether it's a right thing or not thing, I'm not a tennis coach, I don't know. But in the UK, they start off with a sponge ball, then they go from a sponge ball to an orange ball, then from an orange ball to a yellow ball, and then they go on to a full ball, 3 or 4 different types of balls and different sizes of courts and stuff like that to play on. Well, over in Spain, the kids straight on full ball and away they go. So I think there's a lot of stuff they're doing with the different balls. Granted, I'm not a coach, and I dare say there's a lot of specialists that have looked at it. But I see the younger children over in Spain and stuff like that, where they're playing full ball straight away. The younger children are coping on these big courts with these balls, and they seem to be progressing through a lot quicker and a lot younger age than the children are over here. Again, that's only in my opinion, you know.
Yeah, no, that's a great point you're making. What about facilities in the UK when you're, you know, raising a young person who's playing tennis? Is there great access to good facilities?
Again, that goes down to the global position of where you are located. You know, there is some great tennis centres across the UK. There's some great tennis clubs in our local area as well. But facilities and the backing and stuff, again, that is not so much in our area, but there is in other parts of the country. There is some good amenities and stuff.
So when Cheri started off, did you have to travel a long way to get to, you know, a tennis facility?
No, the tennis facilities that where there's tennis courts and stuff, and the tennis coaches maybe 10-15 minutes, which is fine. But when they started to get recognised, they got invited to these LTA programs, and the LTA programs were maybe 3 hours away, and you had to be down there for 8 o'clock start in the morning. So you're taking a lot of the children that are there may be from that area, and they've got 10 minutes to get there, where the children having to get out of bed at 4:30 to drive 3 hours to get there for a day's training with the LTA are absolutely shattered, you know. So, you know, there is some good tennis clubs where we live, but these programs are run a lot further down the country from where we live, you know.
That's a really interesting perspective, because as you say, when you've got a young child who has to get up at that hour of the day to go and
then they get on court with all these other people, and they're like, she's looking a little bit sluggish today. You're like, well, I'm not surprised she got up at 4:30 this morning. She's been sat in the car for 3 hours. And little Billy and little Fran there have just been out for 10 minutes, and had the brekkie come straight on the court.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So what do they say about what doesn't break you makes you tougher?
Exactly. It just broke the parents all driving up and down every day.
I was going to say, I was leaning that more to the parents than the kids.
Exactly.
Yeah, good point.
Having to drink a litre of coffee every morning to get there.
So what about the next step in the journey? When you start talking about sending your kids or supporting your kids to go overseas, that's a pretty big step, right? To go internationally. So how did that process come about for you and for Cheri and the family?
Well, we were living in Teesside at the time, and I think one night we'd been talking about the kids and the tennis and stuff, and I think one night after a couple of bottles of wine, we decided that we'd give Spain a go. And then we went over, looked at some property because it was right near the Ferrer Tennis Academy where Cheri was going to go to. And we ended up going over and just took the plunge. We've had 4 great years over there where she progressed through a lot of ITFs traveling around the world, and using the Ferrer club as a base and going away with the coaches. It's been great for her and her sister. Well, it's been great for us all, really. But for Cheri and her younger sister being in that tennis academy, they're now fluent Spanish. They've learned the second language. They've made a lot of friends all around the world. It's been a very, very good decision for us. Very good decision. Right.
So these are things that you hope might happen when you sign up to this process, but it's never guaranteed, of course.
It's never guaranteed. No, and when you look along the way, the amount of time and effort that goes in to the children who are doing whatever sport they're doing, be it tennis or football, whatever they're doing, the amount of time and effort that goes into from the parents, and then how much the more effort you put in, the more changes that actually happen to your life along the way. To the point where we ended up selling up and moving to Spain, predominantly for their tennis careers,
Yeah. So it's really impacted the whole family in a massive
way. Oh,
massively,
massively, yeah.
But it sounds like, and you're confirming that it's been a very positive step for everybody involved.
Oh, definitely. Everyone's took a great experience from it, not even just from the tennis, but in life skills itself. Moving to another country, meeting a lot of people, not a lot of different nationalities. The friends have got Dutch friends, Russian friends. You're seeing all different aspects of life and other people's beliefs and stuff like that. So it's made them a lot more worldly wise, as you would say. In my opinion.
Yeah, right. So what about their maturity and self-belief? Have you seen them kind of compared to other kids of their same age? Did you see them rapidly becoming more mature, a lot faster because of what they're going through?
Yeah, very level-headed and very mature. Yeah, very, very calm, very confident because they meet that many different people. It's been very, very, very good for them. Very good.
Yeah. So let's talk about you talked about Cheri going into the David Ferreira Tennis Academy there in Spain. What was the competitiveness like of being in that kind of environment?
Very, very, very competitive, and you can go from a tennis club here where there might be 10 children in the club. 2 of them really want the tennis. The other 8 love the tennis but don't want it as much. So when you're seeing them on court, they're happy to hit the ball and play, and they play well. You go to like a club like that where everyone's in there for a reason, and the competitiveness, even in just a friendly rally across that net, it is like a match point in a really big competition. That's just practice. So the kids were like, wow. When they got there, it was like, God, they're only having a friendly, or they're only warming up, and they're going, giving it all come on as they're playing the games, crazy. Crazy. People arguing and fighting when they're just warming up,
Yeah, we laugh about it, but again, it's a very serious topic. So was there a settling in period? Did it take long for the kids to adjust to being in that environment?
It did, yes, because, the first thing that they said to them was the kids were starting to ask them questions, obviously in English, because they couldn't speak Spanish. And the coach had said, if you want to ask questions here, you speak only in Spanish and you do not speak English. Wow. So that's what they said. So for the first few weeks, don't get me wrong, they would help them a little bit, but their Spanish within the first month, they started picking up the words and phrases they needed for the tennis. And then they started talking to the people there. So I think after about 2 or 3 months, they were settled in, and then the Spanish, because they could only speak Spanish all day long.
Yeah.
That's where it just went like that. So it was very good. Very good.
Crash course in Spanish language.
Crash course in Spanish, yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem is now when you're sat in the car and they speak Spanish and I haven't got a clue what they're talking about.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Scott, they'll probably be saying something about you, that's for sure.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, because when they're not, they're speaking English again.
Yeah. Now, when you're involved in a journey of an athlete, there's a lot of things that change in life. Some of the things you've already been speaking about, but what about the healthy lifestyle aspect? Was that something that came into the family a bit more, about looking after the way that you ate and all the nutrition side of it? Was that something that was important to your family?
Yeah, it was, yeah. We certainly had to start hiding the wine bottles when Cheri came in, because we weren't allowed any drinking there. No, but no, certainly with the food and stuff, we started doing a lot more healthier food, a lot more proteins, nuts, clean foods. Certainly clean foods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay,
it took across everyone, I think. And to be fair, we've always been quite a healthy family, I think, going to gyms and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, cool.
But I think certainly with the kids doing the tennis and all the other sports they've all done, yeah. We've always kept that sort of healthy lifestyle along the way, you know.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, Cheri's just recently moved to the United States. Massive move, long way away from home.
Another crazy move, and yeah, so brave. I could not have done that. I could not have done that.
You couldn't have done it, no?
No, me, no way.
No.
My parents wanted me to move school when I was 13, and I cried. I went, I'm not moving school. I mean, never mind, move to another country. No chance.
So where does she get her courage from then?
Definitely a mum. Must be a mum.
Right. Okay.
Must be a mum.
So, so tell us how that came about, that opportunity to go to the United States.
Yeah, I think what was happening was certainly through the COVID stages, a lot of tournaments that Cheri was, her ranking, her world ranking was going up and up and up. And we were in Spain, and there were certain tournaments going on in other countries still, where Cheri couldn't physically get out of Spain, or a lot of kids in other countries couldn't get out or whatever. So all of a sudden your ranking starts changing, because other people in the countries, they've still played and their rankings can go up. So your ranking's coming down because you have not played. A lot of kids haven't played. So I think that started affecting a lot of the children. They couldn't get in and out. And she, along with the COVID, she'd done her school exams, and she then decided to home study, which again, very brave. I could not have done that. She did her A-levels, and which normally is a 2-year course to do her A-levels. And because of the COVID, she did all of her A-levels in the 1 year. She self-taught herself the A-levels at home, psychology and Spanish, which Spanish was the obvious one, but she didn't speak it anyway, you know. But she did those two, and she passed the 2 A-levels within the first year.
Wow. So
the universities then approached and said, we could invite you over here 1 year early. Normally they wouldn't go till they're 18.
Yep.
So she went over at 17 and started getting all the different invites from the different universities. So it was like, you know, they're going to give her a scholarship and provide her with a coach and take her to tournaments, and she's going to be able to fly around America to different universities, see all of the United States, still go away and do some ITF world tournaments and stuff like that. Yep. So for Cheri, it was a great opportunity.
Yeah, amazing opportunity.
She for her at 17 to leave boyfriends and family to go off on her own. I mean, she actually flew over to Florida herself, by herself.
Yeah.
Worked her way down to where she had to go in quarantine for 2 weeks, go and do all that. Go and meet people, then go and find the university and check in, because we couldn't go as parents to take her.
Yeah.
So she did it all by herself. You know, it's a very, very brave girl, very driven girl.
Amazing stuff. But, you know, really listening to what you've been talking about in terms of that journey, the motto comes back to you put in the hard work and you get the results from it, right?
Yeah, she's certainly put in the hard work, Mark, definitely. Certainly.
Yeah.
That's one thing you can't take from Cheri. She certainly put the hard work.
Yeah, tremendous. I was going to ask you about COVID and how it's affected the whole tennis scene, and you eloquently put it there that it affected a lot of these players' rankings and the number of matches they were able to get played.
Yeah.
has there been no consideration from the tennis authorities about the impact of COVID? Like, they're still going on the same system that they had prior to COVID?
They did, yeah. I mean, I know there's the UTR system, which is a good system, to be fair. I think that's a very good system, the UTR system. But with the rankings and stuff, I mean, even when the tournaments were on, a lot of the countries, I mean, you can say it's all, and it does boil down to finance, really. You know, when you look at the end game, it is finance. So you've got a child in one country who's happy to go and fly to the other country to play the tournament. The hotels, you have to pay for the hotels. You pay for the coach. However, then for you to go into the other country, then you have to do your tests. And then you do your tests, and then you have to pay for a test to come back. But when you come back, you have to quarantine. The coaches have to quarantine. So the knock-on effect, people can't just afford to fly from here to there, quarantine everywhere they go. They've got work to do. They've got studies to do. So it stopped people going to these tournaments. Yep. It has stopped people going to tournaments.
Yeah, right.
I think, to be fair, not even just in the sports world. I think in the world itself has certainly suffered from that. A lot of people have suffered from the effects of the COVID lockdowns, should you say?
Yeah. So when Cheri got this opportunity to go to the US to university, how was the conversation around the dinner table with you and the wife about losing your middle daughter to the United States?
It was very upsetting. Her mother was very upset. It's an upsetting time, but we both knew that it was the right thing for Cheri, you know.
Yeah.
And certainly over the tennis, you think that all of a sudden, from the outside looking in, people might think, oh, you've got your child there, she's with you every single night, and then all of a sudden she disappears for 4 years to America and comes back occasionally for holidays.
Yeah.
But through their tennis, certainly over the last 2 years, 3 years of their tennis career, they might have been away for 3 weeks and back for a week, then away with the coaches for 3 weeks. So it has been a process in the making where the children have been at home and away. So it's not a big shock, but it's the fact that she's gone so far away by herself, which is quite upsetting. But she seems to have settled in now. I would think the first week or two, you know, as everyone would be, a little bit unsure, a little bit, you know, a little bit mentally upset, physically upset. She seems to be enjoying life now.
Was there a few phone calls and text messages going backwards and forwards across the Atlantic in those early days when she was over there?
There certainly was. More than a few. There was nearly plane tickets to come home at one point.
Well, that's all part of the process, isn't it?
It's all part of the process. And again, it's personality building. It's building her as a person, you know. And it can only do great things for her in her career and her tennis and as a person. The experiences she's picking up from and the life experience she's learning as she goes.
And isn't that a really interesting prospect as well? Because it's not, as you just say, it's not just about the tennis. It's about her becoming an all-rounded human being as she gets older.
Oh, right? Exactly. That's one thing I would say about the sport of tennis.
Yep.
You know, I've seen a lot of people who play different sports, but I think the circle of people they have met through the tennis generally are nice people, well-educated people. Yep. So the children that they're mixing with, you know, they're learning from. They all aspire to be off each other, you know.
Yeah.
It's been a big learning curve for them. It's been a good sport for them to do.
You're right. It's a very good ecosystem, and there's a lot of you know, indirect support mechanisms in place as well as a result of that, because you get that kind of community feeling, don't you?
You do, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Now it's been a massive few weeks in English tennis with the rise of a new star on the women's side. Has that been something that's kind of pumped everybody's chest up over there and got them excited about what Emma Raducanu's done? Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Cheri actually played with her down in Nottingham a few years ago.
Oh, did she really?
She did, yeah. In one of the tournaments down there.
Who won?
At that tournament, there was umpires.
Who won that game, Scott?
I can't possibly say. No, she was in the same tournament.
Oh, okay, in the same tournament. Okay.
In the same tournament, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. But it's a fantastic thing to see. You know, you mentioned earlier in the show that you know, Cheri looked up to Serena Williams, and now she's got someone in her own age bracket that's breaking through in the.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think when the children get to the standard they're all at the moment, it gets to the point now, which, again, this is only my opinion from the person you talk about there, they get to a stage where that their tennis skills are at the level they're always going to be at. The next thing they need to learn and manage is their own mind. When they're on the court, they feel the pressure. She may have felt the pressure when she was at Wimbledon, and then they come off the court because there's too much pressure on them. They get mental coaching and they come back stronger. I think all children, including Cheri at the moment, that's the next stage that we need to concentrate on, and the coaches need to concentrate on. They've been playing tennis, as there's the old saying, the 10,000 hours. Anyone who does 10,000 hours of training, whether it's football, golf, whatever, you can physically become a professional sports person in that field, as long as you've got the mental coaching and the mental strength as well. And I think at the moment that's what we need to concentrate on with Cheri. She just needs the mental strength and the mental coaching to keep driving forward. You're
making a very good reference to Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Outliers. Yeah, have you read that?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, so he's the one that actually did the statistical analysis on 10,000 hours of creating mastery.
No, do you know what? One of my friends is he's ex-footballer, Premiership footballer, and he said to me, he's a football coach now and a scout, and he said it was him that told me about the 10,000 hours.
Right. Okay.
And he said anyone does 10,000 hours of training, you will become you can become a professional sports person. You know.
Fantastic. I've got to keep cooking steaks then, because I haven't done 10,000 hours of cooking steaks to master that.
That. Well, I might have done the 10,000 hours for the wine. I might have mastered that.
So Cheri's over there in the US. She's having a great time now at the university. She's got a lot of travel coming up and opportunities to get out there and play around the country. What's the feeling for you and the family now with where she's at and what's ahead of her?
Oh, it's a great feeling. The world's an oyster at the moment. What's going to happen, I don't know. I mean, we can't get into the country at the moment, I don't think, still, or maybe they're opening the borders shortly for us to go over. But for Cheri, the way I see it, you know, they look at in the tennis leagues over there, and she's going to be going around, and she can play a university from LA. She plays a university from Chicago. She's going to end up having the opportunity to travel around and see all the different states in America. You know, I mean, just for that itself, an amazing experience.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, I tell you what, I'd like to put my opportunity forward, if I can, to book a ticket in the players' box at Wimbledon when we go and support Cheri in the next too distant future. Yeah, because I'd love to be there to give her a yell out.
Oh, as well. Definitely. No, it'd be brilliant. I mean, I don't know whether Cheri has mentioned to you before, but we went down. There was a thing they did in the UK called the Road to Wimbledon, where they start off at the lower clubs and you work your way through, and then if you win at those clubs, you move up to the next one. You get the regional ones, and then you get the national ones, and then they end up going down. And the children actually get the experience to play on the grass courts at Wimbledon. And that's what they did. They went to do that. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Nothing like it to get the inspiration flowing is to go there and go to the mecca of it all, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully that day comes. But we shall see.
I'm sure it will. Scott, before I let you go today, what are a couple of tips that you'd like to pass on to any parents that are watching this show today about, you know, raising a young sports person, you know, from your experience and what you've learned so far with Cheri?
You know, certainly from experience and looking back, certainly do not push the child to do a sport that you want them to do. If they want to do it, let them go, and then they will progress in that sport themselves, and you just give them guidance along the way, you know. And make sure that the children, as my wife always says, just play with a smile and just enjoy yourself, you know. And that's what Cheri does. She always plays with a smile, and, you know, don't take it too serious to the point where it upsets you, because it can actually scare you away from the sport, then you don't want to play anymore. So you've got to play with a bit of happiness and and as I say, that smile on the face.
Fantastic piece of advice. Well, listen, thanks for coming on the show today. It's been great having you. You've given us a lot of great insights to being a parent of a rising tennis star. And I'll tell you what, we'll get you back on the show again, Scott, when Cheri wins her first tournament, yeah?
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Okay, mate. Thanks very much
All
for
right.
your time.
Yeah. Stay safe.